Hello, everybody. I am so excited to be jumping on live with you today for a live Q&A session. This is one of my favorite times of the month where we just get to hang out and ask any questions that you guys have about getting started in your virtual assistant business, how to scale your virtual assistant business, how to bring on team members. One of the questions I love to ask in our monthly Savvy Circle coaching call, if you guys don't know, we do have a group coaching program for VAs who are a little further along. It's a 12-month intensive program for virtual assistants scaling their business from $2,000 to $10,000 months. And we do a monthly Ask Abby session there. That's a small, intimate setting. And one of the questions that I usually start out by asking that group of individuals is, where are you currently stuck? Like, let's just get right to the issue. If you say, here's where I'm at now, and here's where I would like to be in my business, what's the gap? What's in the middle of getting you from where you are to where you want to be? Sometimes that gap is an information gap. And we've got some really great questions that were already submitted. I see somebody jumped on early and like loaded the comments with questions, which I so appreciate that. We're going to dive into all of these questions. So sometimes it's an information gap. Literally, sometimes you're like, I have all the willpower in the world. I just don't know how to get from A to B, right? Like I just need information. Sometimes it's a motivation. Sometimes you're like, I want to want this, but there's like just something holding me back. Sometimes it's a fear gap, right? Like you need confidence to overcome maybe some of the fears that you have in starting your business. So whatever that gap is, let's just chat about it today. Let's talk through where you're stuck in your business. And yeah, this is just an opportunity for us, for me in particular, to help you get unstuck. Okay. Let me give a few shout outs before we get started. Chatting here, go ahead and just start dropping your questions in the comments below. I'd love to know just a little bit about who you are too, whoever's joining me. So go ahead and just kind of tell me a little bit about yourself, where you're from, if you've already started in your business, if you're kind of putting out the feelers, you've already started, you've launched, or if you are kind of in that scaling phase. I'd love to know where you're at in business, where you're at physically too. My family and I live in Missouri, Southwest Missouri, but I'd love to know where you're located. And then I want to do one quick thing and let you know that we, if you haven't already entered, are giving away the ultimate virtual assistants giveaway right now. And so you can go to thevirtualsavvy.com/win, and that will take you to our VA giveaway. I'll share my screen real quick. This is what it looks like. So there's 2 days left in the giveaway. It is a value of over $4,000, and this is the ultimate prize package for somebody who is starting or scaling their VA business. It includes our Savvy System course. It includes our lifetime membership to Savvy Vault, our onboarding system, all of the support that you would need in order to get started in your business. Over $4,000 in prizes. Everything included is listed here. The contracts, our onboarding system. So if you haven't already entered, make sure that you do. You have 2 more days to enter. And whenever you enter, you can actually gain more entries by sharing the giveaway as well. So there's a couple different ways after you enter that you'll see that you can increase your chances. This is probably, my team could correct me, this is probably the 4th or 5th time that we've done giveaways. And the system that we use, it's called King Sumo is what we use. It automatically draws a winner, but we have noticed in the past that every winner that is drawn out of the last 4 is somebody who had multiple entries. So I just want to throw that out there. If you haven't done that yet, if you have already entered, but you didn't do the extra stuff, you can just go to thevirtualsavvy.com/win, and it will take you straight to the screen. It should at least take you straight to the screen where you can share it and do all the extra things. Okay. So I wanted to throw that out there before we jumped in. Sorry. There's a more fancy way to share my screen. I went not fancy today. We're just hanging out today, right? It's live Q&A session. It's just you and me and some coffee. That's what we're doing today. So, all right, let's go ahead and jump in. I see a bunch of people have joined. I'm going to start with the questions that are here in the comments because you guys you guys are here live, so I want to make sure I answer your questions. We also had some questions submitted earlier on Instagram, so I will do those after we do our on-screen questions, okay? So AM Kasha came early, I saw, and submitted a bunch of questions. So I'm going to jump into some of your questions, okay? The first one is this is a great question. What is the minimum capital investment to launch a VA business for those with marketable skills? Website, shopping cart, email payments, legal agreement, etc. Can we make it below $1,000? And the answer is an overwhelming yes, you can. Um, and even with the conversion rate, because US, that'd be like what, $750? I was just in Canada last week, so I'm well familiar with the conversion rate. So yes, 100%. And this is actually one of the things that I love most about virtual assistants is the incredibly low overhead compared to other businesses. So, and I think that what it boils down to is what could you have to get started and what do you actually need to get started, because you could spend $1,000 on a website, boom, just like that, right? But you don't have to. You don't have to have that to get started. So, what do you really need to get started as a virtual assistant? Well, you need a computer. So if you don't already have a computer, of course, that is an expense. This is not a business I would recommend trying to do from your phone or from even from a tablet, really. Although there are the tablets that you can connect the keyboard, so that potentially could work. But that doesn't necessarily have to be a barrier, even if you don't have a laptop or a computer yet. I've known people to literally go to the library and start their business using a library computer. So obviously, you want to be careful with like handling client sensitive information. Like if you're doing bookkeeping or anything really sensitive, you probably wouldn't want to do that on a public computer. But as far as getting started, getting your first client, getting your own marketing stuff out there, I think that's totally fine to go and use a public computer for that. So the other things that you'll need to know what your prices and packages are, right? And so the cool thing is that what we teach you is that you don't have to have a website to get started. In fact, we teach most of our virtual assistants, and I know some people might not like this advice, but I don't believe that you need a website even to get your first client or even second. We have students who have sold out their services without a website. Do I think businesses need websites? Yes, I do. So do not hear Abby thinks you don't need a website at all. But what I do believe is important is that you have a way to showcase your services. And so we teach you to create a portfolio, right? You can do this in Canva. Canva is a free tool that you can use to just create like a quick portfolio, a PDF document that shares your services. 100% free, right? You'll need an invoicing software. Well, again, there's tools out there that are free to use in the beginning. Tools like Honeybook and Dubsado have free versions, or at least your first few clients are free on Dubsado, I believe. There's other tools out there that can invoice for free, and how they make their money is either eventually paying a subscription after you have a certain amount of clients, or they're just taking a percentage, even PayPal invoicing, right? Like it's not my top invoicing platform, but it is an option. And so, there's project management tools, there's Basecamp, there's Asana, there's Trello, there's ClickUp. Most of these have free versions, right? Contract signing tools, a lot of these contract signing tools like DocuSign or HelloSign. I think actually DocuSign might have bought HelloSign. I need to go back and look at that. But a lot of these tools are free, right? Or they're free like the first few times that you use them. And so I would just really, really highly recommend capitalizing on these free tools. Now, you did mention a contract. This would be the one thing, like you're going to spend your money in one place and you say, all I have is $100 to my name, like, and I want to start a VA business. Where would I invest this $100? I would say it would be on a contract. Guys, you want to have your business legal, right? You want to make sure that you're protecting yourself, because a bad contract, one that you just scrape off of the internet, right, could end up costing you thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars down the line. Whereas if you just spend that money on a good contract, we do have one in our store, thevirtualsavvy.com/store. You can use that one. If you have another reputable one, that's fine too. Ours is created by an attorney specifically for virtual assistants. Okay. So that would be the only thing that I'm like, man, if you have the money, if you have $1,000, I would say, hey, jump into our Savvy System course. We're launching it again in July, or not in July, in September. by the way. Although you can kind of get in the back end if you go to the virtualsavvy.com/BDO. That's our training, and it leads you to an option to buy the course too. That course is comprehensive. It's step by step. It's everything you need. So if you have that $1,000 to spend, hey, jump into the Savvy system. But yeah, that would be my recommendation, is that if you're like, I just want to get started as free and as cheap as possible, guys, use free resources, use free tools that are out there. Go to our YouTube channel, right? YouTube.com/the virtual savvy. You can go to our YouTube channel and just binge watch all those videos. There's so much information there that's going to get you to the place where you should be able to get your first client. Choose your pricing, your packages, put it in a portfolio, have a way to invoice clients, and you're off to the races, right? And I can get more specific if you want me to break down any of those steps. But that's like, if you're just talking, I need an MVP, a minimum viable product. What do I need just to start, just to get started? That's it. Okay. We have a few more questions from AM Kasha. What would be the first 3 necessary courses that pop in your mind when launching a VA business? So again, you might be, I don't know if you're talking about Savvy Vault. So we have a product called Savvy Vault that has tech and industry trainings in it. So teaches things like data entry, email organization, like email management, things like that. You know, what I recommend, honestly, is what skills do you already have? So I don't think I would necessarily give a blanket, every VA has to know these certain skills. I think there's ones that are helpful, of course. I think that I think it's really good that you learn a project management software. It doesn't matter which one, you just need to know you need to have a good way to manage software. I think that just knowing the Google suite in general is just helpful across the board. So knowing, again, how to manage your own inbox, knowing how to use Google Drive, a basic understanding of either Excel or Google spreadsheets, I think is really helpful. Some people use Airtable instead of Google, and that's, instead of like Google Suite. That's fine. But I'm personally, I think that's just good general understanding, because a lot of business owners just use Google Suite. So I think Canva is another just invaluable tool, even if you're not going to be doing social media management or any kind of design, just for your own your own things that you'll be putting together for your own business. I think that's a really good tool to know as well. So as far as like what industry trainings do you need to know, it really depends on what services you want to offer. Do you want to do email management? Well, maybe you want to learn a tool like Help Scout, or you want to take a course on how to organize somebody's emails, right? Maybe you want to learn social media management, so you're going to want to learn how to do simple graphics. Maybe you want to dive into Pinterest because you want to lean that way. There's really not one size fits all answer to virtual assistants. It's deciding, what do I like to do? What types of skills do I already have? And then now let me put those into the trainings that I would take. A really good free resource for this, let me see if I have a link to it. If not, I will type it here for you. A really good resource, I'm going to type it, thevirtualsavvy.com/quiz. If you guys haven't taken this quiz, it is so helpful. It's free. And you can literally just go in and say, like, these are the things. It's going to ask you a bunch of like fun, silly questions. But what it's really diving down into is what's your virtual assistant personality type? Because if you're more of a creative type, then your skills, the services you offer, are going to look different than if you're more administrative, organizational minded, right? And so this quiz really helps dive into what are the services you should offer based off of your personality as a virtual assistant. Really great quiz, totally free. So I think that would probably be my best answer to answer that question about which courses. It really depends on your specific VA personality. Let's see. I'm going to jump around here a little bit. AM Kasha asked a few more questions, but I want to make sure we're sharing a little bit here. So I'm going to go down and then back up. Let's see. Callan, hello. Callan is asking, should I use my name as a business name? I'm not going to lie. I think this is a great idea. And people could like disagree with me, but I think sometimes, so we have a saying here at the Virtual Savvy, and it's go, set, ready. We also all the time say action over perfection, right? Because the number one thing that I see happening time and time again with virtual assistants, really any small business owner, is we get stuck and we spend a lot of time on the things that matter a little, and sometimes a little bit of time on the things that matter a lot, right? And so when it comes to starting your business, I have seen people agonize over a business name literally for months and never get started. And so then what happens is they're 3 months down the line and they're like, I've been doing my business for 3 months and I still don't have any clients. And it's like, but you haven't marketed, like you haven't told anyone about your business. You're still trying to, pick your business colors and choose a name. Like, and if you're agonizing over that decision, I'm not saying that you're doing this, Catelyn. Sorry, this I just go on soapbox during these live streams, so this is not pointed at you. But if you're asking, or if you're agonizing over like a business name or your colors or XYZ, or again, spending 3 months building a website and just not getting out there, like you're never going to move forward. So, choose just, I always just recommend setting a deadline for yourself, right? Like, okay, by this Friday, end of day Friday, 5 p.m. Central Time, I'm going to tell somebody whatever the best name I've come up with, that's what I'm going to go forward with. Because guess what? You can change it. Like, it's not that hard, especially a like small business like we're starting, right? A small digital business. If you order business cards, only order 100, don't order 10,000, right? So that you can switch it really, really easy. It's just not that difficult. If you even like, you can grab a whole new EIN number if you want to like go and like legally make your business, or just change your business name. It's not that difficult to change. So my recommendation is just to choose something and move forward with it, because it's not life or death, set in stone, can't be changed. I think using your personal name, it depends on like kind of the goal. If you look into the future, where do you see your business going, right? So if you feel like, I could see myself moving into like really consulting or coaching, and I really want to be like the face of my brand, perfect. Start with your name, because that's so easy to transfer. If you're like, man, I really want to build a team and I want to like have this agency and I could see myself managing multiple people and really like the brand rises to the top, then maybe choose more of a name that's not personalized, right? That kind of shows that, man, we are a team of people, whatever. And it could be, your last name services, but it will be a little bit, or the something agency, right? Like, I mean, there's so many ways to choose a business name, but you might want to go with something more generic in that sense, or more like agency focused. And then, another thing to think about in the future is like, where do you see this going? If it's all personally branded, then and you don't want to move into being the face of the brand, or consulting or coaching, that kind of thing in the future. If this is just going to grow into an agency, or maybe this grows into an agency and you sell it someday, guys, people are selling their businesses for tens, hundreds of thousands of dollars. And it is so much easier if it's not personally branded, right? And so there's just a lot of things to consider. Not so much that you shouldn't move forward and get started, but I think that for most of us, that's where I started. Ashley Assistants. That was my name. Boom, I chose it. The next day I started going out and getting clients. That's the focus, is like, let's choose something, let's stick with it, and then let's start marketing, because that's where you're going to get clients. Okay. Awesome. Let's see. Another question, Chelsea. Marketing has been hard. Any suggestions? Oh my goodness. I totally understand, Chelsea. I think that, I read a statistic once that less than 3% of people are natural born marketers. Sales and marketing is not necessarily just ingrained in most of us, but um the success rate can be much, much higher, even if you're not a natural born marketer, right? All you need is to choose 1 to 2 marketing methods and just stick to them for the long term. It's kind of that, um, there's a book called Essentialism, okay? Awesome book. And they talk about this concept of like, you only have so much energy to give, right? Like, you only have so many marketing hours, right, Chelsea? And so let's say you have 5 hours a week, okay? And you're trying to do five different things in those 5 hours. You're like, okay, I'm posting on Instagram. I'm going to try to, do some YouTube videos. I'm going to be on LinkedIn. I'm going to respond to job ops in Facebook communities. And I'm going to go to networking events. Like, you're not going to get very far in each of those things only devoting 1 hour a week to all of them, right? Whereas, what if instead of that, you took your 5 hours a week and you said, you know what, I'm going to go all in on local networking events. And I'm going to find, 5 hours, that'd be like 2.5 hours. That'd be I'm going to do two networking events where I go in and I am fully present. I feel very prepared. I collect business cards. I follow up with people after the networking event is over. I'm going to do network events and I'm going to do them really, really well, right? Or I am going to, there are jobs posted every single day in Facebook groups, right? So what I'm going to do is I am going to spend 5 hours a week just going all in with trying to get clients via Facebook groups. So I'm going to research, I'm going to find people posting, looking for a VA, and I am going to make my proposals stand out and be so freaking good that they just stand out above the rest, right? It's what we call value first marketing here at the Virtual Savvy, is that extra time and attention put into your initial meeting with a first potential client, that if you can make yourself rise above everyone else by just putting in extra effort, a little bit extra time on the front end. And this is needed, I believe, with getting your first few clients. It doesn't, once you have for your first few clients, guys, you don't have to work this hard at marketing. And that's what I like try to share with people. You talk to people in our Savvy Circle group, which is our more established VAs and our bigger group coaching program. You talk to them and you say, how do you get most of your clients? It's referrals, right? And so this like having to always do this manual outreach and having to always go above and beyond, it's not a thing that you necessarily have to do forever in your marketing, but it really, really does work when you're trying to get your first few clients. So my suggestion would be narrow your focus, go deep instead of wide. Let's go deep with our marketing and let's find just one method. I'm going to go all in with LinkedIn. I'm going to go all in with Instagram. I'm going to go all in with Facebook groups. I'm going to go all in with networking events, right? All of the methods can work if you actually put time and attention and full focus into them, right? You're going to go much further if you go deep with your marketing instead of going wide with your marketing. Got it? All right, cool. These are such good questions. I love hanging out with you guys. This is so fun for me. Okay, here we go. What are marketing platforms that come to my mind when starting a VA business? So, the three things that I would recommend having would be, number one, you're going to need a project management tool, right? And so for most of us, man, guys, Dubsado and Honeybook are so awesome, because the next tool I was going to say is a invoicing software, and Dubsado and Honeybook like tie those two together, right? Like it's invoicing software and a project management tool. That's why I like them. Or it's at least like an onboarding, like a client management tool, even if it's not project management. So you might manage all your clients and like organize your client and your outreach and your invoicing all in Dubsado, but you may end up using a separate project management tool like Asana or ClickUp, Trello. Like, okay, so I would say I'm gonna tie those together. I'm gonna say invoicing and client management tool would be one, right? So Dubsado, Honeybook, and then the next would be a project management system. And I think there are some project management capabilities inside of even Dubsado and Honeybook, but like you might want one that is really, really just this is where I manage my clients' projects. Trello, Asana, ClickUp are some of our top ones. Basecamp, there's others. Monday.com, there's so many. What do you guys use? I'd love to know in the comments. And then lastly, I would say a marketing tool, and that depends on what kind of marketing you're going to do, right? So if you're going to be using LinkedIn and you're going to be posting regular articles on LinkedIn, well, then one of the best tools you can use is ChatGPT, right? Like ChatGPT can help you write articles to post on LinkedIn. If you are going to be on Instagram, Canva is probably going to be your best friend. It's going to help you create reels. It's going to help you create content to be putting on Instagram. If you are, if you're doing like email outreach and you want to really follow up with people really, really well via email, there's a tool that we use in our outreach efforts called Woodpecker that like helps you like organize your emails and do constant outreach. So the third tool I would put in a marketing bucket, like a tool that aids your marketing efforts. Although you don't need one, you don't need to spend money on one of these. Depending on what type of marketing you're doing for your business, there could be a tool that really helps speed that process up or organize it better. So, I would say an invoicing / client management tool, a project management tool, and a marketing tool would be like the 3 buckets of tools that I would suggest for virtual assistants. Awesome. So good. Oh, this is another good question. How much time would it take to set up a website, portfolio, marketing platforms if we're doing it ourselves with no technical skills? I know it's hard to say, an estimated time. So again, I would not put the website into that. When you're first getting started, here's what I would like you to have. I would like for you to claim your socials, right? So go ahead and yes, create a Facebook page and grab your Instagram handle, even if you're not planning to do Instagram, okay? Go ahead and grab those things. In the same way, grab an email, like buy a domain name. So again, you don't have to build your website, but go ahead and buy the domain name for your website because you just want to claim all of those handles so you got them, right? So nobody else takes them. And so find your website domain name, buy it. I use Namecheap to buy my domains. There's other ones out there, but that's what I use. Okay, so buy your domain name, then go claim, start your Facebook page, and at least claim an Instagram handle. You don't have to use it. You don't have to do Instagram, but at least your handle is claimed, right? So that doesn't take, that might take you like an hour. Okay. So we'll keep the count over here. That's 1 hour. So then next, what I would recommend is actually choosing your services and building out a portfolio. So that is probably going to take another like 2 hours to do. If you're doing action over perfection, it could take you longer. Inside of our Savvy System course, we have a portfolio that is like a mock portfolio that you just fill it in. So it's a lot easier. But if you're creating one from scratch, it might take you a little bit longer. So you're going to want to create that portfolio, right? So, so that's 3 hours. And then I would say like all of like the legal aspects of your business. So let's say another 5. Okay. So that is setting up your claiming your EIN number. That is making sure that your contracts are personalized, all of that. So 5-ish hours to be able to start marketing, right? Of course, there's other things. Eventually, you will want to build a website, right? Eventually, you want to take that EIN number, you want to go to the bank, you want to open up a bank account. That's going to take another hour or so. There are more things, but it's like, at what point can I just start telling people, hey, I'm in business? I did it in a day. I literally, like when I started my business, I'm like, all right, I got my EIN number, I got my website, I got my contract ready, or I didn't have a website, I had like a portfolio, I have my contract ready, and it's day number 2. Guess what, world? I have a Facebook page. That's what I launched with, was a Facebook page. I just said, hey, I'm open for business. Here's my Facebook page. Let people know. Because the other things I can do, because here's the thing, if you get all set up, you can still do all the other things, but now you can divide your time. My business is set up, it's ready, and I can spend my time, getting my onboarding set up. I can spend my time, opening up my business bank account, doing all those other things while I'm also marketing, right? Like, let's get that marketing ball rolling as soon as possible so that you can get clients faster, right? The sooner you get that marketing ball rolling, the faster you're going to get clients. If you're like, I have to get everything set up and then I'm going to start marketing, then that's your starting point. And it could take a couple weeks to get your first client. It could take a couple months to get your first client. So let's start it as soon as possible. Let's let people know, even if you're not 100% ready. There's nothing that gets you ready faster than a client saying, "Hey, I want to work with you," and you're like, "Cool." In your head, you're like, "I got to show up. I got to show up ready for that discovery call. So now I've got to get my onboarding process. I got to get my stuff ready." Some people don't work like that, and that's fine. Go set ready. It is the fastest way to succeed in business. It's not the only way, but it is the fastest way, I will say. So if you want to make money quick, that's the way to do it. Let's see. I love this. Hi, Elizabeth. I'm just getting started. I'm using your templates. I have over 7 years of experience. That's amazing. Scale it down, niche down on who my target market is for my VA resources. So excited for you. If you have questions about that process, let me know, Elizabeth. I love this. I hope you guys find this helpful. Let's keep going. What advice would you give new VAs who have your LLC, EIN, but don't know how to get the first client? Okay, so we already talked a little about marketing, so I'm not going to dive too much into that. I will give you a resource though. Let me find it. So I have a free training. It's an hour-long training, and I tell you my 3 favorite places to find clients in this free training. So if you go to thevirtualsavvy.com/BBO, BBO stands for Become Booked Out. So this training is Become a Booked Out Virtual Assistant. I share with you my 3 favorite places to find clients, and that's a completely free, about a 60-minute training there. So let's just go ahead, and I'm going to leave you with that resource, because that is, I could give that whole webinar right now and talk an hour on marketing, but I'd rather get to everybody's questions and let you just dive into that resource, because it's really, really good. We have had a countless number of students who have taken this free training and then gone out and get their first client just with the tips that we say in this free training. Okay, it's that good. So that's the resource I'm going to point you to for that. Mary from Ohio is launching this week. Woo! Yay! Oh, I love this. I think I'm over feeling, my problem is wanting to have everything in place before I share it with the world. It is the most common thing that we find. So don't like beat yourself up for it. Literally, it's like, oh, you're human? Okay, cool. Like, I get that. All of us are this way. And so this is why I'm just saying, you just got to put it out there. Go set ready. Put it out into the world. Just let people know that it exists, right? Because you're getting the word out as soon as possible. You're still gonna have time on the back end. Nobody sees on the back end that your onboarding process isn't all together. Nobody sees that you don't have all your stuff together yet, right? Like, let's just put it out there. Hey, letting people know this is a service I'm offering. Let me know if you have any referrals. Just go ahead and put it out there. Let's see, here is another question. Hi, Abby. Thank you for doing this. You're welcome. I'm actually taking a drink of this. I didn't drink my coffee. Hold on. That's good. Is it better to be a virtual assistant as an independent contractor or be your own boss, and why? Okay, so as a virtual, let me just explain kind of how this works, okay? As a virtual assistant, you are an independent contractor. You are. So unless if you're getting hired by a company, you're an independent contractor. So when a company hires you, or when an individual hires you, what they're going to do, you will sorry, I just like blanked for a second. You're an independent contractor. So what's going to happen is that you will start working with this client, you will sign a contract, and then they will pay you an invoice to your business name, or to you as an individual, however you decide to set it up, right? And so whether you set up an LLC or not, right? Like, that's a decision you make if you're going to set that up right away. That really, what that does is it protects you legally. An LLC is a pass-through entity, so no matter what, you're still going to be like taxed as just an individual, right? If that makes sense. So like, so you, like the reason why I'm like fumbling over my words is because the question you asked is like it's kind of synonymous. You are, by being an independent contractor, you are your own boss. Like unless if you are an employee, you are a contractor for this business. Okay, whether you set up an LLC or don't set up an LLC, you are a contractor for this business. So the only way that that's not true is um, if you actually become an employee. If they hire you as a W-2 employee, that is the only way you are not contracted by this business, a contractor. Now, there is, I will say this, like at a certain point in your own business, you can hire yourself as a W-2 employee of your company. I am a W-2 employee currently of the Virtual Savvy. We did not do that and set all of that up until we were making almost like $1 million in revenue. Like that is a very advanced thing to do in your business. In the beginning, you don't need to become your own W-2 employee. Like honestly, until you start having other full-time employees, is normally when people will do that. And you can like, okay, I'm gonna do all the things to pay employment taxes and pay into Social Security and do all of that. Is when you're ready to do that for your business, that's great. You can become a W-2 employee. You can offer healthcare through your business. You can do all that. It's a lot to set up. It's a lot of paperwork, and it is great, but it shouldn't be your priority when you're first starting out, right? So, yes, you can become your own, like an employee of your business at some point, but I wouldn't recommend doing that. Like in the beginning, guys, let's just keep it simple. Um, you're working with individuals, you are contracted out, they will pay you via the invoice that you send out. And when you get paid, that goes into, I do recommend a separate business bank account. And that separate business bank account, it runs all of your operating expenses. You need to be keeping track of all your expenses. Where's my money coming in? Where is it going out? And then what I would recommend is on whatever cadence you decide, every week, every other week, once a month, you give yourself just a distribution. So literally, you're just going to transfer that money. That's why I recommend just doing it from the same bank. And so you just say, oh, I'm transferring it from my business bank account. Whoop, I just transferred it in. That's called a distribution. So you just give yourself regular distributions, and that's how you pay yourself. Okay. No, that's not exactly what you asked, but I wanted to like just kind of clarify what it means to be an independent contractor. If you're not an employee, you're a contractor. Okay, let's see. So many good questions. Okay, here's a good question from Carrie. I'm Carrie. I'm in California. I'm hoping to launch soon. I'm finishing up my portfolio. Congratulations, Carrie. I have some questions about my packages. I'm a general VA, so no deliverables. I'm wondering, do I need to specify a response time within my packages? I'm trying to come up with a perk for my highest package. I've added Voxer support, but I'd like to add something else. Any suggestions? So you do have a deliverable. You do have a deliverable, Carrie. So when you are doing general admin, how you are probably packaging your services is via time, I'm guessing, right? So you are giving packages of, let's say, 20, 30, or 40 hours a month, right? Yours might look different, but a business owner, so your deliverable is the hours that you're committing to that business. So that's your deliverable. Whenever every service provider has a deliverable. If it's not hours, then it's package-based pricing. So let's say you're building websites. The deliverable isn't, hey, I spent 20 hours on this website. It's not, the deliverable isn't hours. The deliverable is a complete website, right? If you're a Pinterest manager, your deliverable isn't maybe like, hey, I set up your Pinterest. Maybe that is your deliverable. But if they already have a Pinterest, your deliverable is, I'm growing your Pinterest account, right? So you always have a deliverable. Your deliverable is the hours that you're spending on me, you're not having to spend in your business, right? And so, and I think there are ways to even show that in a portfolio, right? You can have graphs about like how effective like handing off tasks to a VA is. You can show a before and after of an email inbox that you organize. You can show examples of customer service emails. Like there are still even deliverables, like tangibles that you can show as an example in a portfolio. So we get that question a lot, which is why I want to emphasize that. Your question was, a perk for my highest package. So you can add more things, but honestly, your packages normally, so let's say you had a 20, a 30, and a 40-hour a month package, right? What a lot of VAs will do is that their smallest package will be priced at $40 or $40 an hour. Their middle's at 35 and their smalls is at 32. So that's one way that you literally wouldn't have to add anything else. You would just, hey, the bigger package, you save a little bit of money. That's one option. You don't have to do that, right? But it is one option. And I'm not asking you to lower your price. No, the price that you want, let's make that your for your highest package, and then just increase your prices for your lower ones. Got it? And then so that's one option. I think that having Voxer access is great. I just here is my recommendation, and this is just across the board for any type of business ever. This is not virtual assistants. This is not even service providers. Under promise and over deliver is always better than over promising and under delivering, right? So if you say, I'm going to have an 8-hour response time, you better always have an 8-hour or less response time. Like you need to uphold that. So I would just be very cautious to what you promise. Even when you roll out new things, like we'll do this with the virtual savvy. Like I try to be very careful about not saying, hey, guess what? Every Thursday, we're going to do this thing. We try to say, hey, we're experimenting with something new. We're going to test doing this, because that, like, if you commit to people on doing this, you better do it, right? So I always said 24-hour response time, because I felt like so if I said 24 hours and I responded in 2 hours, people are like, whoa, she's awesome, right? If I say I'll respond in 2 hours and I respond in 3 hours, people are like, why did you respond in 3 hours? Which a 3-hour response time is amazing, right? Like, so there's no real answer of like what you should do. I think that Voxer access is a great perk for your highest package. I think that's a beautiful idea. I would just be very cautious about putting promises around how quickly you'll respond via Voxer or email. 24 hours was always mine. And if there was a rush project, I need this done in less than 24 hours. I had it in my contract that I would add it basically time and a half. Like if my rate's $30 an hour, my rush fee is $45 an hour. And those clear expectations from the very beginning. Oh, this is such a good question, Lisa. I love this. From Houston. Hey, Texas. My biggest issue is money, also not having the confidence to move forward, afraid of not knowing the answers when clients ask. So this is the fear part of starting a business. Here, let me put this down so you see. The fear part of starting a business is so real. Like, I get it. Just know that you're not alone. Every single person has that fear when they're first starting out. So just know you're not alone in that, okay? Just sometimes knowing that can help a ton. The second thing that I would say is honesty is always the best policy. And no individual, even if you've been a VA for 20 years, is going to know the answer to every single question. So it is okay. One of the best things that I learned how to say as a virtual assistant is, I'm not familiar with that, but I am incredible at research. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to spend the next 24 hours researching that and get back to you with an answer. Okay. Just that shows, it shows that I'm honest, that I have integrity. It shows my humility. It also shows my work ethic and my promptness, and it gives me an opportunity to follow through, right? And so I also think, like, if a client is asking you, hey, I really, like, they got you on a call because they wanted you to help with data entry, customer service emails, and travel research and booking. And they get on and they're like, hey, would you also mind doing keyword research for my blog? And you're like, I have no idea how the heck to do keyword research. Literally, you can say, I want to be totally honest, it's not something I've done before, but if, and be honest, if it's not something you want to do, then say, I'd love to help you find somebody. That can be part of my project, is helping you find the right fit for someone to do keyword research. Or if it's something you want to learn how to do, because that's what's so cool, guys, is that like, literally, when your clients ask you to do things that you haven't done, you can learn a new skill on their watch if you're honest about it, right? If you say you know how to do it, you better come in knowing how to do it. But if you're like, I am I love to learn. So if you have resources, I would love, or if you have a way that you're already doing keyword research, just train me on your method and I will do it for you. But it isn't something I've experienced, but I'm a quick learner and I'd love to jump in and help. Things like that, it's honest. It gives you an opportunity to learn, and it kind of takes that fear away of that I have to know it all, because you don't, and you won't. You just won't know it all. There's no way. I don't know it all. I get on here and I'm still, people will ask me about software and I'll be like, I've never even heard of that before, right? And I've been doing this since 2015. So I mean, that is it gets less scary the more you do it too. Like, your first discovery call is the most terrifying thing ever. Your 10th is still scary, but not as scary. Your 100th discovery call when you've been doing this 5 years is like old news. Okay, let's see if they're a good fit. It just, with practice, with repetition, does come that comfort and that confidence. So the only way to get there is to do it. Is just to put yourself out there, do it scared, right? So that would be my recommendation. Really good question, Lisa. I love this. You guys have such great questions. Elizabeth, I wanna address your question because I think this is great. What's the best platform to market yourself on? I've been on Instagram and Facebook. Those are great platforms. Instagram's great, Facebook's great, live networking events are great, LinkedIn is great. Every platform is great. There's a strategy to use every single platform out there. I could be convinced that there is not a social media platform that you could not figure out how to utilize it to get clients. Okay. Um, there's two things that I will say. Number one, focus, right? We already talked about this. Let's go deep instead of going wide. The other thing that I want to say is that when you're first starting out in your business, the best thing that you can be doing is be focusing on relationships and not focusing on trying to build a big following. So, what that means is that some of the strategies. So, if I right now were to Google best Instagram strategy, okay, what I'm going to find are multiple videos on how to grow my Instagram followers. That's not really your goal, right? Like, your goal isn't to get a lot of followers. Your goal is to get clients. So you could have 50,000 followers and zero clients, right? Or you could have 4 followers and 5 clients, right? Because what matters when it comes to getting clients, when your goal is, I want to sign clients, it's relationship, it's conversation, right? And so your methodology is going to look a little bit different. If you're posting to your Facebook and your Instagram 5 times a day, that's great, but it's passive marketing, at least. Yeah, I'm going to call it passive marketing, because what you're doing is you're putting information out there and being like, all right, somebody grab onto it and come to me, right? You got to go to the people. You have to be like, slide into people's DMs. Like, if you're going to be using Instagram, you like, start conversations, comment on your ideal clients, follow your ideal clients, comment on their stuff, be getting in conversation, show you value first. If they say like, oh, we just started Pinterest, I'm really excited, go and create 10 pins for them, find out their email and show up in their inbox with 10 free pins that you created for them. That's how you use Instagram to do connection. Try to get on coffee calls with people. Try to like use it as a connection platform, not as a way to grow your social media following. That's a great thing to do. I'm not saying that it's bad to grow a social media following as a business owner. But when you're in the service-based business and you're just starting out, the best thing you can be doing is having real conversations, is one-to-one marketing, right? That one-to-one marketing, because you don't need hundreds of thousands of people to say yes. You need 4 people. Most virtual assistants can replace their full-time income with 4 to 7 clients. You don't need hundreds of yeses. You don't need thousands of followers. You need 4 people to say yes to potentially replace your income. The best way to do that is just conversations, networking, conversations. Okay. So I hope that that is helpful. So many good questions. Oh, this is a good one. Where did you start when looking for clients, and did you start by offering lower rates? So we've talked a lot about marketing. It sounds like you guys have a lot of questions about marketing. I will drop my resource again for that free training because it's really, really good. But I will share my story because I would love to share that. When I first started my virtual assistant business, the method that I went with first was the personal outreach template. Well, it wasn't called that because we created it later when I was sharing my methods. But and it wasn't even like a strategy that I knew to do. It was just kind of like, oh, well, I'm a business owner. I guess the first thing I should do is tell my friends and family, right? You want to know how I actually thought of that idea? Before I was even a VA, I had a friend who was a photographer, and we were just sitting and kind of talking about business because I was an entrepreneur. I've always been an entrepreneur. My dad was an entrepreneur. We used to talk business even when I was a kid. Like it's just always been ingrained in me. So this friend and I were sitting down and we were just talking business, right? So she was a family photographer. She did family photo shoots. And she's just like really struggling to get clients, kind of asking the same questions that you guys are asking, right? Like, oh, I don't know. Like, I've kind of tried networking events. Like, I've set up a booth at this one event. It was really expensive. Nothing really came out of it. Da, 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 da. And she's just like, I just don't know where to get clients. And I'm just sitting there and I'm thinking, I'm like, she's a family photographer, a family photographer. I have a family. She's never just asked me if she could take my pictures, like, "Dave, do you need pictures for your family?" And so I told her that. I was like, "You know what I realized? Like, you haven't actually asked me. Like, can yeah, we would love family pictures." And she's like, "Really?" I'm like, "Yeah, let's do it," you know? And I realized that most of us actually have our ideal client in our network. We just haven't signed them on as a client because we haven't asked, right? And like, or we haven't just even let them know. So like, so with a virtual assistant business, your ideal client isn't moms with families, right? Like this individual was. However, small business owners are your ideal client. So, do you know one small business owner? Do you know one person that owns a small business? If the answer to that question is yes, have you told them what you're doing? Like, have you actually sent them an email, took them out for coffee? Have you let this business owner know that you're in business, right? If nothing else, you can just connect on the fact that we're both business owners. The great thing is that even though your friends and family might not be business owners, they know you, they love you, they support you. So just by letting them know, hey, I'm starting a business, each one of them, just like you probably know one business owner, each one of your friends and family probably know one business owner. So literally just by telling your friends and family, announcing to the world, hey, look, this is what I'm doing, and asking, make the ask, do you know somebody who could utilize this? Please send them my way, right? Like, let's connect. Drop their name below, tag them below if you know a small business owner who could maybe use my services. That alone is one of the most effective things you can do, guys. And most of us don't do it. Why? Because we're scared. And I get it because I've been there too. But if you want to do big things, you're going to have to develop some tough skin, right? And so we're going to have to do some of the stuff that's scary, and it's worth it. It's so, so worth it. So yeah, that's what I did. I started out by telling friends and family, and then I went to local networking events. That's where I started. I used meetup.com. Facebook wasn't as good as events. Now you can go to Facebook and find tons of local events happening. If you don't live in a big city, I did live in the Washington D.C. area at the time, so there were tons of networking events. But if you're within 2 or 3 hours of a big city, hey, or even a medium-sized city, look up networking events there. It might be worth it once a month just to make the trip, because I think local networking events are great. Here's why: you go in a Facebook group right now, and there are probably, depending how big the group is, tens. I mean, our group, right? Our group has 100,000 members. There's 100,000 VAs vying for the same jobs you are vying for right now. You go to a local networking event and you announce yourself as a virtual assistant. Has anybody done this? Like, have you guys actually gone to local networking events? If you go to a local networking event and you're like, I'm a virtual assistant, half the people don't even know what that is yet, still, which is crazy to me. It's getting more and more common, which is great, but like, I mean, it's just amazing. You are a commodity. You are a hot commodity when it comes to when you're at a local networking event. That's why I love them. I started my business when I was 8 months pregnant. I did have a toddler, but I was able to still every once in a while go to networking events. Once I had 2 kids, nah, that was way harder. So I transitioned to mostly getting my clients through Facebook groups and high-end client outreach. So essentially, it's a method that we teach inside of our Savvy System course, where it is you basically target your ideal client and you go after them. You like go pedal to the metal. I'm going to spend 2 weeks like crafting the most incredible proposal because I want to work for my dream client. And so that's one of the things that we teach you to do inside of the course as well. So that's how I did not start out by lowering my rates. I did not start out by working for free. I never recommend working for free. You know what type of people you learn to work for when you work for free? You learn to work for people who will pay you no money, which means they don't value your services, right? And they are the worst clients. They are the worst clients. When I hear people who work for free, literally, the people who pay you no money are usually the people who are like the biggest headaches. Just don't do it. Please don't work for free. Some people work at a lower rate. That's fine, I guess. Again, I would say don't go too low though. Like, don't go too low that you dread the work that you're doing. Like, just never do that. Like, no, like you are worth your time. If your confidence isn't quite there, but you're just like, okay, I know I should be charging $30 an hour, but I'm going to start off at 25 just because that for my comfort level, I'm going to get my first client at 25 and my second client at 30. That's fine. It's like when people are like, I'll work for $5 an hour. Then I'm like, no, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. All right, keep going. Ooh, which do you believe is better, ClickUp or Asana? I'm a ClickUp girl, but I will say this: ClickUp has a learning curve. It is more complicated. It's like Squarespace versus WordPress, right? WordPress is infinitely more capable. Like you can do so much more with it, but it's much harder to learn, right? Like, so Asana is to Squarespace. Like, it's easier to learn, but it doesn't do quite as much, right? And so if it was me, like back in the day, choosing all over, I'm going to be really honest. Before we went to ClickUp, we were just in Trello. We were using Trello, and Trello is not the most complex. Project management is actually not complex at all. It is like as easy peasy as it gets. And that's what my brain needed. And so that's what I was. And then my whole team wanted to go to ClickUp, and I'm like, no. So I went there kicking and screaming. And now I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe we ever did anything in Trello. But I still manage like my own family projects in Trello just because it's easier. So there's no right or wrong answer. My suggestion is really just try them and see which one fits your personality. Let's see here. Ooh, such good questions. What are the top sorry, this is not you typing, this is my reading. What are the top services business owners are looking for in 2023? Good question. So there will always be a need for general admin. I mean, if you go and you look at our Facebook group, people are just still general admin, general admin, general admin. So that's always going to be there. People needing help with answering customer service emails. invoicing simple tasks. So you can't go wrong with just starting out with general admin. Um, as far as like things that I'm seeing an increase in, I am seeing, I feel like, oh, and I don't want to step on people's toes. Um, I'm seeing a decrease in people looking for Pinterest managers, because I think less small businesses are using Pinterest because they have moved more toward, um, Pinterest is really great for e-commerce. It's really great for like food bloggers. Um, and I think there are ways that you can succeed at Pinterest, even if you're still a blogger and stuff. But after like this algorithm shift happened a few years ago, people are just not quite jumping on it like they used to. Again, I know there's Pinterest managers out there that you're like, no, that's not true. And I'm like, I get it. I know that you can still be successful on Pinterest, but it's just, I think that like people started moving away from that a little bit. So that's something that I would have said 2 years ago. Yes, yes, Pinterest management. And now I'm like, it's still there for sure, but your ideal clients are going to be food bloggers, e-commerce. Those are the people that are like blowing up on Pinterest. Um, I've seen an increase in definitely anything related to short form content. Guys, if you can repurpose people's content, like that is golden right now. And there's so many tools out there to do it. There's AI tools like never before that you can use in your business, that people will pay you to say, "Hey, I have this YouTube channel. Can you make it into short form content?" Or I need somebody to help me make short form content for Instagram. I mean, short form content is just like all where it's at right now. So anything that you can do to either, repurpose content or whatever strategy, if you're on Instagram or YouTube or whatever, to just TikTok, obviously, like infuse short form video into your content. Awesome. I want to note, this isn't your question, but like I want to note something too, is that sorry, I'm getting like kind of stuffy. I have a cold. There's been a lot of talk about like AI, and like we're obsessed with AI. Like we're using tools left and right. Some of it's janky, like some of it's weird. Some of it's like, wow, that is not what I asked for. But there's so many cool ways to use chat GPT, different AI tools as a virtual assistant. We have a guide. I don't have the name of the guide. If somebody in chat does have it, we have a guide, a really awesome guide for how to use AI as a virtual assistant. It's really good. Um, I have heard people be like, "Oh my gosh, is this going to replace?" Like, is AI taking our jobs? All of this. I don't believe that AI is going to replace virtual assistants. I believe that virtual assistants using AI are going to replace virtual assistants. That is not an original thought. Cody Sanchez is somebody I follow, and she went on this whole tirade about it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so true, right? Like, um, it's so true. And so I would say, like, you learn to use some of these tools, guys, because they are awesome. Like, there are really, really great tools out there that can help you in your services, help you get better results for your clients. Um, I'm going through because I know I didn't answer every question, but I feel like I answered the gist of most of these questions. Oh my gosh, you guys. Here's what I'd like to do. Because you guys just have so many. Ooh, should you offer a referral bonus? Yes, I love referral bonuses. And it's, guys, simply enough, that is just a like, when somebody asks or when somebody sends you a client, like having your intake form or asking your discovery call, hey, how did you hear about me? And if it's an individual and that person signs on with you, then you give them some kind of kickback. It can be $100, right? I'm a big fan of referral bonuses. Um, so good. Oh my gosh, your questions, guys, these are awesome. Hey, Abby, do you make sure all your packages are paid up front? Yes. So this is a really good question too. I'm going to do two more questions. I'm going to do this one and one more, and then I have to get off because I'm obviously like my throat is, I'm getting over a cold. But here's what I'll do. I will jump on maybe later today over on Instagram and try to answer some more of these questions because these are really, really good. I don't want to leave you guys hanging, but I also need to cough. Do you make sure all your packages are paid up front? So yes. So there's different ways to invoice your clients. I recommend, especially if you're doing hourly. So let's say a client signs a package for 20 hours a month, right? So if your rate's $30 an hour, they will pay you $600. You do not start working until that $600 is paid, okay? I highly recommend that you use those hours over the month, and that if it is the end of the month, so let's say they started in July and it is August 1st and they only used 18 hours, do not roll those hours over. I highly recommend that policy because we actually just had a call with a student yesterday who she had kind of done that. And her clients kept rolling, and then everyone, like, because people weren't using the hours in the summer, and then in September everyone's like, I want to use these hours, and it's like she's working 80-hour weeks. Not fun, right? Use it or lose it. It's to their benefit. They signed up for that hours for a reason, and you can send them gentle reminders. Hey, I need more projects. It's our last week together, and you still have 8 hours to use, right? Like, let's stay on top of them. But use it or lose it pricing. And so what will happen is just every single month, if they signed on with you July 1st, every month they'll get billed that $600, right? So that's hourly. If you do package-based pricing, depending on the type of packages, again, if you're a Pinterest manager, an Instagram manager, you might say my services are $500 a month. And again, every 15th, that 500 gets deducted, and then you just do your services throughout the month. Now, there are project-based packages that are like one time, that aren't monthly reoccurring. Those, depending on the size of the package, I am okay if people break up. For instance, let's say that you design websites and that your websites are $8,000, right? Like, you do really great high-end websites. I have seen where people do a like 2,000 upfront, 2,000 once these milestones are reached, and then the 4,000 at the completion. Or, it's 9,000, you do 3, 3, and 3, or half due on front, half due on completion of the project. I have seen people do that, which I think is fair. You don't have to do that. You can say, hey, you just pay up front. And but I have seen people, kind of buffer the cost by doing that. Or maybe if cost is an issue, then you give them that as an option. But again, if somebody is worried about cost and you span it out and you do all this work for them, then it's like, you might be a little worried that they pay you. So I don't know. I prefer payment up front. I think the payment up front is just the best option. It's fair. If you guys sign a contract, all of those things. So that would be my recommendation. Okay, let's do one more question. Oh, these are all so good. Okay. This is a great question. How do you effectively raise your rates? Such a good question. So if you're already working with clients and you want to raise your rates, which I suggest doing, actually what I suggest, especially if you're doing hourly, start your rates at wherever you're comfortable, and then with every client, raise your rate. So what that would look like is I sign client A at $25 an hour. Immediately after I sign that on my website or my socials or my portfolio, whatever, my rate goes to $27 an hour, right? So my next client, I sign at 27. So now I've got one client at 25, client A is at 25, client B is at 27. I immediately change everything to 30, right? And so my client C is now, when I sign them, they're $30 an hour. So it's our incremental pricing method that we teach in our course. It's a really great way to just slowly make more and more money with every single client that you, and there obviously is a breaking point. Like, you're not going to be charging someone $100 an hour for general admin, right? There is a point where you're like, okay, I'm going to stop here. General VA work, usually $40 an hour is kind of your tipping point before learning more high-end services, right? Then you need to start specializing potentially as an OBM or niching down in some way if you want to make more than $40 an hour. So that's one way. So then again, that's not raising rates necessarily with each client, with each individual. It's just you raising your rate over time with each new client. Now, over time, you might have three clients at $40 an hour, one client at 30, and one over here just sitting still at 25 because they were your very first client. So when it comes to raising rates, and I always say this, and it's the harsh truth, you always risk losing a client with raising rates. Now, there are 100 ways to mitigate that. That risk might only be 1% if you do it really, really well, but there's always the risk. Somebody may just genuinely not be able to afford that increase. And so, what I always tell people is that you have to be prepared for that. So, if you are saying, I'm going to raise this $25 an hour client, I'm going to raise their rate to 30 or to 40. I'm at 40 with everyone else. This one is still at 25. I really need to raise them to 40. You have to be willing that this person says, I can't go with you on this journey anymore, knowing that's okay because I know I can replace you with another 40 an hour, $40 an hour client, right? So just know that that's a possibility, right? And so what you do is you let this person know. And I would, you can do it in an email. In the Savvy system, we have templates for all of this, for like how to raise your rates. I think a conversation is the best way to do it. It's just, like, hey, we've been together for this long. And I have actually, with all my other clients, raised my rates to $40 an hour. I've tried to keep with you for this long because I really value our relationship. I am at the point where I do need to raise my rates. What's awesome about this though is that that the service I provide for you is blah 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 blah. Like, let them know. You can let them know it's going to be gradual if that's more comfortable. Like, we're going to raise it to 30 in a month, and then it'll raise up to 40 the following month if it needs to be gradual for them. Like, you can be willing to work with them if you really, really love this client. But yeah, it's literally just a conversation with them, letting them know that it's going to increase, knowing that they may not stick with you on that journey, and that's okay because if you've already proven to yourself you can get $40 an hour clients, it's okay to let go of a $25 an hour client. So that's my recommendation on how to raise your rates. One thing I will note is that I personally don't like raising my rate with a client unless if I've been with them at least 4 months. So if I signed with a client in March, in April, I'm not raising my rate, right? Like, that it doesn't feel good. It's just like, wow, that's whiplash a little bit. You need to prove yourself a little bit. So that's my personal recommendation. It's your business, do what you want. But I think 4 to 6 months, I think after that, you've really proven yourself. You've shown, okay, like, this person knows what they're talking about. And I think that it just gives you a lot more freedom to raise your rates then. So that's my personal recommendation. I know that there were so many more questions and I didn't get to every single one of them. It breaks my heart, but I think I need to go ahead and go because my nose needs to be blown and nobody wants to see that on camera. So I will leave you with this, guys. Go and where is two things. If you haven't entered our giveaway, thevirtualsavvy.com/win. We have over $4,000 in prizes specifically for virtual assistants that you will not want to miss out on. So that is number one. And then number two is we had a ton of questions about marketing today. Thevirtualsavvy.com/BBO is the best free training you can take. It's about 60 minutes long. That teaches you literally step by step how I got my first clients. There are people that have gone and gotten their first client just from this free training. So you'll want to watch it if you haven't already. And yeah, that's all I have for you guys today, but I will see you next time. Bye.